Alright everybody, what is up? It's the art programmer here and we are learning some MVVM architecture here. So in the previous video we talked about the basic of MVVM and we learned how to set up room components. Room took care of the mechanism to store data. Next step is to set up a view model which will act as our mediator for fetching data. Now to make sure everyone's on the same ground till this part of the tutorial, you can go ahead and clone the repository given in the description and be sure to check out the room branch. View models are classes which are supposed to hold the data for activities or fragments. The fact that the lifecycle of activities or fragments are managed by Android framework makes it an inconsistent candidate for storage of large data. Let's take an example where the activity is displaying a list of restaurants in a recycler view, and then a user decides to rotate the screen. Activity gets killed and recreated, and the activity will have to refetch the list of restaurants. If the list is large, then this data fetching will be a costly process. This is where view models help. View model will hold the data for our activity, so even when the activity gets destroyed, our view model will still hold the data and pass that data to the activity when it gets recreated. Another problem with fetching data on activity is that sometimes activity may have to make an asynchronous call. So if that happens, the activity will have to manage that call, otherwise it may lead to a potential memory leak because of configuration change before the asynchronous call returns something. In that case, having a view model is more helpful. So let's get started. First of all, create a directory under data and name it view model. Next, right click under view model directory and create a new Kotlin class, name it order view model. Okay, next create a constructor for the class and take an application instance. Also make it extend Android view model class. Android view model class needs an application instance for initialization. So go ahead and pass the application to it. Next, we will need to get the instance of repository class we created in the previous part of this tutorial. So go ahead and do that. Now I will create some public members and methods to read or write data. First, create a member to read data from the database using the repository object, as you can see I have done here. Second, create a method to insert a row in our table. So create a method with an order object as input parameter. Next, we are going to call our repository's insert method, but as you can see here, it is wrapped around this view model scope.launch. So what does it mean? If you remember that we have defined in this method as suspend in our repository class, so we can only call it from coroutine or another suspend function. In our case, we are calling it from a coroutine. View model scope is bound to the view model and will clear whenever the view model is destroyed. Same thing is done with delete method. Now go on, compile and run the application. If everything is done right, then the app will compile without any errors. But you won't see any changes in your app yet, as we have to connect the views to the view model. So that's it for this small video. In the next video we will connect the pieces and make an application which is actually based on MVVM architecture. We will learn to set up our recycler view with data binding, so stick together. One more thing I wanted to discuss as to why are we even using this architecture pattern. And is it necessary to follow this architecture pattern? So the answer to the first question is that having this architecture pattern helps to create applications more testable and scalable. An application is not good if it is not testable. So adapting to an architecture pattern really helps with that part. Answer to the second question is that no, we don't really have to use the architecture. There is no hardened rule for that. Actually, you can make an application however you want as long as it works, but it really helps to follow an architecture pattern. Suppose there is a scenario where we just have to show a text or image when the activity starts. So it's not worth the effort putting a view model, etc. So that's all for this video. We'll catch up on the next one. Good luck. Don't forget to like, subscribe and do all that good stuff. This is the Art Programmer signing out.